Meeting of Teaching and Learning, August 9th, 2016, 6:30 p.m. Present.
Present are Dr. Williams, myself, Kim Campworth, and Evelyn Gleason.
All right, first item on the agenda, old business, additional section request with the June board meeting. The board approved 5 additional sections to be used as needed. One of the sections we're going to add to Hillcrest High School for the new Bridges program. I think they're calling it SOAR.
Okay.
Sorry. They want to put those students in a self-contained PE class so they could work on team building and positive relationships. They found when they did the Bridges program at Oak Forest 2 years ago, they tried to sprinkle the students into other PE classes and they just weren't finding success that way. So we wanted to try putting them in their own class, working with a specific PE teacher. We actually had a part-time position already on the books, and so we're just going to slide this person in and make them full-time.
Okay.
And it'll be a split between Bremen and Hillcrest. Okay? So far, that's the only addition. All right. I sent to you the class size review as of July. So this is right before summer school ended. They're still doing some adjustments. We'll go through building by building. Bremen, really, there's nothing of concern at this point. All of the classes that are over the window are only over 1 or 2 students. We have 2 instances in world language where they're over by 3, and 1 in a fax class by 3. But again, they still have some balancing to do. Oh, I'm sorry, and also a PE class. There's 2 classes over by 3. Other than that, they're sitting really, really good.
Yeah.
Finley Park, same thing. We have a couple of spots, and I believe they're already working to resolve these. We've got 1 section in social studies that's over by 3. We have 1 class in science over by 3, 1 by 4. In world language, we have 1 that's a +4 and 1 that's a +6. What the +6 is.
Wow.
Some of these sections is right now when they start building the master schedule, I'm talking about REI classes, they put the gen ed students in one section and the REI students in another section, and then once registration starts happening, they commingle the sections. So when they commingle them, sometimes the number ends up higher than what it should be, but through balancing, they'll whittle it down. So right now, some of those are a commingled pair that has to get some students reassigned. Let me look at the +6 in world language.
So with the schedules out now, they just notify if they're moving the
If there's any changes,
student?
yeah.
Okay.
The +6 is an honor Spanish 2, and there's only 2 sections of that class, and the other one is over by a +4. So we'll see if some of the students end up moving out of that section. Other than that, Tinley is looking really good. Hillcrest, we have a social studies at a +4, science at a +4. We have a couple over +5, and again, those are REI sections that just need to be balanced. Business, we have a +3 and a +4. Look at those. I think those are digital literacies that and personal finance that have to again be balanced because of REI. Yes, personal finance at a +4. And a +3, a personal, both personal finances are over. Other than that, they're doing okay. And Oak Forest. Oak Forest, I think, in general, just needs to do some balancing. They're in a transition of Jane Dempsey moving over to teaching and learning and Adam Wagner coming over into PPS and just learning the process of balancing. But they usually come in very, very balanced across the board. So I'm not overly concerned by some of these numbers. Again, it's just some REI classes needing to be balanced out.
Is that what the 15?
The 15.
The 15,
Yeah.
the PE, yeah, exactly. That one is actually a fitness and nutrition class where it's co-taught, so half the students go to the PE teacher and then half the students go to the FACS. For some reason, they're all assigned to the PE teacher.
Oh, okay.
So that's the only
Just
reason
needs to be
that's over.
split.
Yep, exactly. So at this point, I'm really not concerned. We don't seem, as of today, we don't necessarily see that influx like we did last year, especially at Bremen. All the new students that we didn't account for so far, we haven't seen that pattern. We're still early, before school starts with registration, so that may change. But at this point, outside of the one section at Hillcrest, I don't really see a need to add anything as of today. Questions? Concerns? And then the last thing I just wanted to share with you is my annual AP report.
Oh. Well, yeah, I was doing it so I could do it while I'm doing 10 other things today.
I know how that goes. So just going to go over some of the highlights. We were actually down in terms of the number of tests taken this year. Looking at the results or looking at the number of testers, it seemed that students were taking less multiple tests than the previous year. I don't really have an answer for that. That's something the assistant principals and I are going to have a conversation about at the beginning of the school year. We're going to kind of dissect this data. It could be just a trend of this graduating class and the subsequent lower levels. That might just be unique to those students, not necessarily a trend that we're going to see. So I think it's too early to jump to any conclusions because I don't know the reason why. I don't know if it's a monetary issue.
Could be just the number of students in the class too.
Could be.
Because it's not dramatic.
No, it's not.
really not that huge at all.
And we look at the total number of testers, we went up district-wide 2 students in terms of the number of students actually taking exams. So again, we're still kind of right around the same point. Our pass rate has gone down slightly. We did see 2 new additions this year. So we had AP Spanish Literature was a brand new test. We had 5 students take that one. And we had 10 students take AP Physics 2, which was a brand new test. I think I just reversed those numbers, I'm sorry. It's the other way around. We had 5 in AP Physics 2 and 10 in the Spanish Lit. So we had 15 new tests this year. Not saying that contributed to the decrease, because actually we had 100% of the students pass the AP Physics 2.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So part of it is brand new course for the teacher. She is a 4th-year teacher. Brand new course for her, brand new test, just trying to learn the ropes and how to help students navigate through that. So certainly there's a learning curve with that process. We're only in the 2nd year of AP Government and AP Microeconomics this past year giving that test. So again, teachers need to learn kind of the expectation of that test and how to best prep the students. So I'm not overly concerned about the percentage going down. Again, the fact that we're still maintaining testing, that we're maintaining students being exposed to the exams. We do want to, I know the APs and I have been talking about, is it time to add a second level to our camp? We focus so much on the freshman year and trying to help those students get exposure to AP Geography, but in some cases, it's the sophomore year could be the first time a student takes an AP course, and we don't really have anything for them. So we've been tinkering with adding an AP boot camp for sophomore year.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, because
a lot of the freshmen coming in are overwhelmed by everything else that's happening, and they're like, no.
Yeah,
then the other kids don't really know, well, should I? They're kind of on the fence, and maybe if they had that opportunity, it would help them decide what they wanted to do then.
Absolutely. Because we have AP Euro at the sophomore level and then AP Physics 1. So they would actually have 2 opportunities, and that may be their first. So that's something that we're going to look at to implement next summer with them. And maybe even talk about, do we need to do a little bit more than that? Do we just limit it to 2 years, or do we expand it?
Yeah, I wonder if it couldn't be just for everybody, just to get that exposure.
Maybe just kind of do a generic, here are some skills you need to know as an AP student, and then not necessarily get into specific content areas.
Yeah, just spell some of the fields.
Right. Right. I almost like that idea better.
Yeah. I know from listening to the students and reading the reflections from the APs, it's been very helpful to have the upperclassmen come in and talk with the freshmen about what it's like, to take an AP class and kind of, like you said, dispel some of those misconceptions and help them with time management and their fear. So I think it's been positive. We'd like to expand it a little bit more.
Okay.
Also wanted to make you aware that it's kind of been our district policy that all AP teachers attend at least one AP conference a year. And any new teacher to a course, we send them to Triton College for their week-long course, because it's so important for them to meet with other teachers and kind of figure out how this course actually works. And what we're trying to do is get them together more often as curricular teams, because often there's one person in a building teaching an AP course, and so they have nobody to talk to. So we're trying to kind of build that collaboration across the district as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's something we're going to continue. In terms of some highlights, I always like to point out, where we're doing really well in terms of either we're beating the state average or we're beating the national average, or in some cases both. So in AP Physics 2, we actually beat the state and national average. AP Physics C, we also beat the state and national average. Chemistry, we're just shy. We beat the national average and just knocking on the door of the Illinois average. AP Calc, I wanted to put that in there because we've actually grown the number of students taking AP Calculus since we've been really focusing on building the program at Hillcrest. And they're also kind of district-wide knocking on the door of, we beat the nation, but just shy of beating the Illinois average. AP Calc BC, we always have our students get 4s or 5s in that course consistently.
What's the difference between AB and BC?
Yeah.
So BC is just an extension of that class, so it's only a semester. But what a lot of times what the students will do is they'll sit in AB for the first semester and audit, and then the curriculum actually kicks in. So they're doing a little bit of review of the AB curriculum, and then they really focus on the BC curriculum. It's pretty much self-directed, almost to the point of an independent study with the teacher. So while the AB students are working on some things, the teacher will come over and kind of do some direct instruction with the BC kids, but a lot of it is self-directed. So it's just an extension of calculus.
And can they get credit for both?
Those students would have already taken AB and passed. Now this is the second level for them to get the BC. And we only
they're improving from that.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. And we generally only have maybe 5 students district-wide that actually do BC.
Okay.
We're not talking a lot.
No.
I put English literature and composition down there as well because, again, we're increasing the number of students taking that test. That's the junior level exam, and we're just knocking on the door of beating those averages, too. We're doing a lot of good work in those areas.
Doesn't the English one, don't they require a higher score, or is that individual schools that require a higher score?
For college placement, for college acceptance?
For college credit.
Well, now the state of Illinois, if they're staying in-house, colleges have to accept a 3 or better.
That's a change.
Yes, that was a change, I believe, out of last year.
Okay.
Because I was going to say that could account for some of the numbers there. Because I know Illinois, you had to have a 5.
Yeah. Another thing in my little write-up that I put in that I'm really proud of, in AP Spanish language, in 2010 we only had 31% of our students passing. This past year we had 80%.
That's fantastic.
Isn't that amazing? I think that's really attributed to really focusing in on our heritage students, so our native Spanish speakers, and making sure that they're competent in their own language. And then our goal is to get them, those students should be taking AP Spanish literature.
Right.
It's so exciting.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah.
Makes them feel good too, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Some building-based highlights. We had 80% of our students submit a portfolio for Studio 2D design. And all of the studio art is very difficult. It's actually almost a 2-year process for a student to get a portfolio worthy enough to submit for AP credit. It's really tough to achieve, so that's great. I mentioned this year 69% of our students taking Spanish language passed their exam, and I meant to say that was at Bremen High School. Those first 2 were at Bremen.
Okay.
Let me fix that. We had 5 out of our 12 students at Hillcrest pass their calculus AB exam. And again, I just see that continuing to grow as they really develop that culture of AP.
And we have the course at Hillcrest?
Yes.
Because that was another bone of contention.
Absolutely.
Program there.
Yep, they're really, really working hard to build that program. Hillcrest also had their first student earn an AP Scholar with distinction.
Wow.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm. And as you know, kind of scroll down to the bottom there, this is given to a student that got a 3.5 on all of their exams. And it's on 5 or more of the exams. So one of the things to keep in mind when we talk about the AP honors, a student will actually move through those honors over the 4 years. So depending upon how many tests they take, if they took 3 exams, now it's impossible in their freshman year because there's only one offering.
Mm-hmm.
But between their freshman year and their sophomore year, if they've accumulated 3 exams and got a 3 or higher, they would get an AP Scholar as a sophomore.
Okay.
And then depending upon how many exams they take as a junior, could move them up to Scholar with Honors distinction. So it's over the course of 4 years how many exams they take and at what rate they pass. Okay. 100% of the students who took AP Physics 2 at Tinley passed, which is phenomenal. So these students actually took physics for 3 years, which is kind of unheard of. Not a lot of districts.
First. That's what it is.
Not a lot of schools had that opportunity, and that's great. I'm looking forward. I hope many of these students go on to Physics C because I think they would do really well. 68% of the English language composition students at Tinley passed. 70% of the biology students passed their exam, and that's a pretty tough. They've really changed that exam too, and so that's great news. And 71% of the students taking English Lit passed. So there's just a couple of the highlights at each of the buildings. We're doing really well. And then you'll see our scholars on the last page. We continue to add. We're up to 152 scholars, up 2 from last year. 6 national scholars. So, and that's just amazing to have at least a 4 or higher on 8 or more AP exams in their high school histories.
Wow.
It's almost a year of college.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing.
That's fantastic. For the kids that want to go after that, good for them that are taking advantage of it.
Yes. And so now our next step is we're going to, like I said, the APs and I are going to dive a little bit deeper into the data. We're going to see, start looking at it by ethnicity, making sure that we're providing some equitable experiences for our students. Looking at, now that with Decision Ed coming into play, we'll be able to take a look at AP scores and take a look at GPA and grades and see, are we missing some students that could potentially be AP students that we may not be identifying through what methods we're using right now. Another thing that'll be helpful when we roll out the SAT suite of assessments this fall through the College Board, because the College Board also does the AP exams, we'll actually get a report from the freshman level, the sophomore level, and the junior level of potential AP students based upon their SAT scores.
Okay.
Or their PSAT
now, is
scores.
that changing for the juniors this year? They're going to take the SAT, right?
Yep, at the state exam, and that's April 5th. Yep, so one of the things I'm going to bring forward next month, because I have to go through it with the JFA, is we're going to do an amendment to the school calendar to move up the April SIP to April 5th. It's the first Wednesday of the month because that's when the state testing will be. And in order to do that, we have to move our March SIP up 3 weeks because you have to bank so much extra time in the school day to be able to offer a SIP day.
Okay.
So we're going to provide an amendment to the calendar. We're going to move those 2 days up. And that way we're covered for state testing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't interfere with spring break, right?
No.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
All right.
And then Decision Ed, where's that at now? Is that coming into play in the fall this year for?
Yes, we are actually, we've been, Steve Klitscharch and myself, we've had standing phone conferences every Thursday at 1 o'clock with Decision Ed. And so what we've been doing is it's a process called validation. And so what Decision Ed will do is say, okay, let's take a look at junior year, Bremen High School, student absences on October 10th. They'll show X number of absences, and then we go into PowerSchool and validate that what they're pulling is actually accurate. And we're looking at all different types of data. We this past week we did GPA, and we did students' grades. So we looked at a particular student at a high school. Okay, is what you're seeing in Decision Ed, are all the grades matching what we see in PowerSchool? Because we want to make sure that the user of Decision Ed is looking at clean and accurate data.
Right. You don't want them flipping out on a kid or a parent or something when it's not pulling the correct stuff.
Right. So we're in the process, this whole validation process. We've gone through all the course data. So every single course that we offer is showing up correctly in Decision Ed, between flagging an honors class, an AP class, a regular class, the weight of the class, is it dual credit? We did student attendance, we did student behavior, we're doing GPA, we did grade marks. So all these different things we're validating just on the PowerSchool side. Then we're going to bring in the assessments and make sure that those are lining up. So we're still on track for initial administrative training at the end of August and to start rolling this out to the staff.
It'll be mostly at the administrative level this year.
To start with, but I envision we're actually going to put a focus group together to see which groups might come into play next. And I see more PPS starting because I think it would be a benefit to them when they're doing RTI meetings or gathering data on students. I think we do have some teachers that would jump on board, but we certainly don't want to roll it out right away and expect all teachers to do something with it. Because right now we're rolling out EvaluWise on the evaluation side, so we don't want to do both at the same time.
And how's that going with them?
Good. I mean, we
well?
had a May training with teachers, and we had a May training with administrators, and tomorrow we're doing new teachers. We have 17 or 18 brand new teachers, so they're going to get exposure to it. And then we have 2 teachers presenting to them. They're going to do follow-up workshops with the rest of the staff.
Okay.
If they want to be trained. Monday, Colin, Milton, and Tom O'Shea are going to be training the administrators on EvaluWise. So far it's been very positive.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Hope that continues.
Yeah, hopefully it's helpful to them.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. So that's all I have today.
Okay.
Just some good news
Yeah. Nice.
reports. Anything from you on your end?
No. The only thing I'm hearing on the streets is everybody's asking me about in the registration. What's with the laptop? So there was confusion in the registration with the choice of getting a laptop. I'm sorry, iPad.
That's okay, I'm like, laptop.
Yeah, no, iPad. I'm still old school
Okay.
laptop. Get your laptops out. So the people that had juniors and seniors.
Yeah.
Do I have to get one? I'm like, no. You were able to move on. So there was some nervous about even like not clicking it and trying to move on, and I'm like, well, it lets you go. It's there if you want it.
Absolutely.
But you don't have to. Freshman and sophomore, yes.
Yes.
You know. So some people thought it was turning into a mandatory thing at the junior and senior level because it was on the registration form, and it wasn't there last year.
Got it.
So I said, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
And then, of course, schedules on Friday afternoon, and don't call me. I have no control over why we don't have schedules. My kid wants this too. We're all waiting. It is what it is,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sure it's coming together. It's overwhelming, But all in all, no, I didn't hear anything about getting on to PowerSchool as a difficulty as last year because we upgraded or something. And everybody was just up and
migrating
about
to
it.
one account for all students.
For everybody. So, and the app works wonderful now
Good.
too. I love that app.
Great.
So that's good things about that.
Nice.
So
I like to
if
hear
you
that.
hear anything, people, about the iPads.
Have not, but
Okay.
I will forward that on. Make sure that everybody kind of just reminds people it's not mandatory for upperclassmen.
Right. Yeah. Some were feeling that way. So no.
Good.
There if you want. But other than that, all good.
All right. Meeting adjourned.
We're done. 6:50.
6:50.
There you go.